Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Buy Round Interview Show. Today we are joined by someone who's made some headlines this week, announcing his retirement from the game of rugby league. It's none other than Storm and Queensland champion Christian Welch. Christian, it's been it looks like an emotional time. How are you digesting the news at the moment?
Yeah, it's been emotional, particularly yesterday, addressing the players and staff that, when you've grew up pretty much at that club. I got there when I was 18 and I'm 30 now, and, a lot of really deep relationships. And, obviously when you're retiring, you're not going to be around those guys day to day anymore. So it was, a bit tough, but certainly the right call to make. And, so we're through it. We're on the other side now, and I can turn into a big Melbourne Storm fan, and even just a big NRL and rugby league fan, and just continue to see this great game flourish.
I watched a clip before of you announcing this news to your teammate or your teammates at the Melbourne Storm, and I've seen many a video like that, and I've been in that situation myself on both sides of it. For me, it's great to see because it just shows how much the game means to you, how much your teammates mean to you, how much the club means to you. And, we spoke just off air previously and I got so emotional. But for me, it shows just how much you care.
Yeah, I think so. I think, I think it's quite healthy and, look, it kind of, teared up a fair bit there. But, as you say, it just means, I suppose, how much I care about my teammates and the club and how passionate I am. For that place, it's a really special place to be a part of. And it's been a real privilege the last 12 years of my life to call myself a Melbourne Storm player. So, it was a tough day. But, so proud to, I suppose, to have done what we've been able to do in that time.
Is there a sense of relief now? Obviously, I asked you before about how you're digesting the news. It's only been out in the public domain for about 24 hours, and I can only assume you are like most of us, where you have those knots in your stomach and you're having that internal debate about maybe a last-minute U-turn. Maybe I am going to be okay. But now that it's out there, is there a sense of relief?
Yeah, I think so. I think I woke up yesterday exactly as you say, but I feel really good today. And I guess the disappointing thing is the squad they've assembled there since I think Cameron Smith's retired. I think it's our strongest and deepest squad we've got. We've picked up Stefano, an Origin player, and we've kept everyone, whereas in previous years we've always seemed to lose 3 to 4 kind of starters. So I guess the disappointing thing is not being involved in the 2025 season with the Storm, because it's I'm really bullish on what they'll achieve. But at the end of the day, I had to prioritise my health, and that comes first. And I love being a footballer and playing and doing all that. But it's there's more to life than, I suppose, than all that. And at the end of the day, my body was just really struggling to hold up to the rigours of playing NRL each week. It's a wonderful game, and I've gotten so much out of it. But it takes a toll on your body. Particularly for us undersized white front rowers. I know I'm talking to one of the absolute finest in yourself, but they're just getting bigger and more powerful and stronger, particularly the emergence of all the Pacifica boys. It's not a fun time out there for us white fronties, so it's probably a good time to exit the game.
I feel your pain, and the tax is something you have to continue to pay. I don't know who you quite pay it to, but you still have to pay that tax. Interesting what you said there about your assessment of the Melbourne Storm for season 2025 and 26, and going off previous years. Melbourne Storm are always a premiership threat, but it seems, and they don't use terms like windows, but they seem like they're primed for 25 and 26. Now, when you're going through that injury or that internal debate, I think the easy decision is to actually just hold on and get yourself a spot in the 17. How difficult was it to have that internal dialogue, speak to friends and family, knowing that Melbourne are in pole position for a premiership within the next 24 months?
Yeah, look, it's certainly a challenge. And look, I'm going to be so pumped to whip home the boys this year and hopefully see them lift that trophy, because there's so many great dear friends of mine. But yeah, look, it was a bit of a challenge, but also at the same time, we've got that many outstanding young forwards, and as I probably hasn't been the greatest final 2 years for me, I've really, being honest, struggled a bit to get back to where I was, I suppose, on the field, and wasn't through a lack of effort. I'm not a physically blessed or anything like that, so I've always tried to work really hard to be the best version of myself, and sadly, I just really struggled to get back to that level. So even though we're talking as if I could be missing out on playing in a grand final or whatever, but there was certainly no guarantee that I'd even probably be in the 17, to be honest. There's so many great, talented guys. We've had Stefano with Alec McDonald and picked up some really good young guys who just keep getting better and better every year. So, yeah, look, certainly you'll, I suppose, miss that opportunity to contend and to put yourself in that Melbourne Storm team. But, yeah, look, the priority is my health, and I've been blessed to have such a great career, and I've had a few down times, but had a lot of really successful times as well. And, yeah, very grateful for, I suppose, and content with what we've been able to do.
Mate, you mentioned something before about the time was right. I disagree. I don't think after you've done what I would consider the hardest part of the season, as in the pre-season, the right time. So you've put yourself through, a 4-month pre-season, and then you decide to retire on 2 weeks before before the season kicks off. Why didn't you make this call pre-Christmas? Why would you subject yourself?
It's not a smart decision, is it? Well, particularly down in Melbourne, those pre-seasons aren't too kind.
Do you know what,
yeah,
Welchie?
Look, I guess I was desperate to try and give myself the best chance, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, because I've always thought a way that you should retire after a pre-season, because it puts all doubt out of your mind that should be your exit. It shouldn't be with a game. It should be you finish on a pre-season to allow yourself to get your retirement money or whatever it may be, because it's just a timely reminder of just how difficult the role, the job, the situation can be. Yeah.
Look, it's definitely taxing, but I'm not complaining, and everyone tuning in. What I've got out of the game is tenfold to what the cost I've paid, and I think similarly I've heard you speak about it, particularly your concussions, and I suppose the challenges that might lay ahead for you. The way you speak, how much gain and benefit you've got from this great game. I'm in a similar boat. I've had a lot of big injuries and concussions myself, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's been a real privilege to play in the NRL.
No, I echo your words. I wouldn't trade it. I understand it may come at a health price later on, but I'm doing everything I can, and I'm sure you are as well, to put the brakes on those things, just on the health. And I'm assuming you're in that position. You don't need any sympathy for the pain that you're in, especially with the back issue. But can you just try and explain to our listeners, because you mentioned about going through that preseason, just how difficult it was with the body? Sometimes I think NRL fans would hear that, but can you try and articulate just how bad that situation was?
Yeah, I guess the fans aren't probably too aware of it at times, because you're playing week in, week out. But yeah, we had a preseason game in Fiji last year, and had a herniated disc evolve, and I've never had any kind of issues with that, or certainly any neural pain. So I know a lot of people have dealt with sciatica, and they're probably very aware of it. But yeah, I was just getting shoots down my left leg all the way down into my calf, and it was a real battle. I was taking some real, I suppose, heavy neural meds, which kind of dull the sensation, but also they impact you a bit cognitively upstairs a bit as well. And I was taking them for a long term, and heavy painkillers. So that was a long period of time, basically the whole season, and managed it quite well. And then getting cortisone injections in your back, regularly to try and they don't fix the problem. It's just treating the symptoms. So it's kind of a bit of a get you through to finish the season. And I'm the first one to say I didn't love how I went in the grand final. I was really disappointed. But yeah, I was just really struggling towards the end there. And just the neural referral and the getting out of bed and you feel like your glutes on fire. And then I missed about 4 or 5 weeks during the season just because it's funny. It's not a linear recovery, or there's different people recover in different ways. So I'd try and do some rehab running and I'd feel like my calf would be tearing just from this neural pain. And I remember one game we played the Tigers at Leichhardt, and I think I played 40 or 50 minutes and got through it fine. And then the next day we were heading into a bye, and I headed off to Tasmania with my partner, and I literally felt like I tore the hamstring off my bone, and I knew I hadn't because obviously I finished the game, but there was just this neural deep pain that was just really affecting, I suppose, the quality of my life, and not something that just exists on the training field or on the field when you're playing, but kind of day-to-day stuff. And so it kind of was a bit of a struggle last year to really get through. And I thought I started the year quite well, and then probably performance started to deteriorate a bit towards the end there. But then I was hoping an off-season of a bit more rehabilitation would have fixed it. But the disc is still herniated, and I'd seen a couple of neurosurgeons for opinions, and their opinion was to go in and you basically shave the disc back, and you're out for a pretty substantial period of time. So that's probably the future I'm looking at the moment. So we'll see how we go.
I really appreciate you sharing that with us, because I think, the NRL fan, I myself included as a pundit these days, we judge people on their 80 minutes, and we forget sometimes just how what you do on the field impacts your day-to-day life. And that sort of certainly seems what it was like for you. When I think that's when when your at-home life is so affected, that's when I can't justify continuing on here, despite the fact that I play in this great team, despite the fact that you're primed for that premiership. I just can't endure this anymore.
Yeah, and it's a tough time, I suppose, because you're doing your best, and like I was trying to work so hard and dedicate myself in the rehab and apply myself and extra conditioning, and obviously with the herniated disc, you're very limited, I suppose, in between games. So I was in the pool a lot, but obviously my expectations of how I'd return and play on the field, I just couldn't get back there, and it was really frustrating. And then obviously as a public figure and a player, and obviously I think my involvement with RLPA over the years, being a really, I suppose, big advocate, and I love what I did, and I'm happy to go to battle for the players, and so proud of that most recent CBA we got, particularly for the NRLW, and really getting some strong minimum standards for the women in our game, but also the minimum salary guys and protections for them. But at the same time, when you're a bit of an advocate out there and in the media, you become a pretty easy target. And when you're a Cameron Smith or DCE, you're an elite player. You can, I suppose, ride that wave and do those things. Whereas myself, I've found it kind of you become the bad guy pretty easily publicly, and then particularly if you're not performing, I suppose, what you hope to be on the field, it becomes a pretty bit of a negative cycle to be involved in, and that kind of weighs you down a fair bit. The last 2 seasons, even though the team's been successful, we made prelim and the grand final. It's probably been a real struggle emotionally for me. And look, that's just a reality of the job, but it hasn't probably been an enjoyable final 2 seasons.
Just for you and your pathway to recovery, with specifically the back and the referral pain, is that something you're planning on getting fixed, and the doctors have giving you that pathway to better health outcomes, pain-free?
Yeah, I've seen it to different neurosurgeons, and you can get a discectomy. So they basically go in and shave back the disc that's pushing up against the nerve. So it just means you're out for a long period of time. But yeah, I think there's a path there. But I'm going to try and obviously not tackling 120 kilo Samoans and trying to squat and bench press. Hopefully the back will settle by living a bit more of a holistic life. So I'm going to give that a crack, and if I need to get an op, I'll get the op.
Just on the future, obviously a very well studied individual, plenty of academic qualifications. What's tickling your fancy? Where in the dream ideal scenario in 5 years' time, 10 years' time?
Yeah. Mate, rugby league has just given me so much. And coming through as a young fella, you have, I suppose you're not really aware of it, but I grew up in Townsville and then Gladstone, small town in central Queensland, and then got to Brisbane grade 9. I suppose I have a real appreciation of rugby league and just sporting clubs in general, and in the impact they can have in their community, and how amazing they are at bringing people together from all different backgrounds. And I think it's such a positive force to be involved with. So, and then at the professional level, at the Storm, you see the impact you have in the community and fans and the passion. So it's such a special thing to be involved in our great game. And there's so many upsides, I think, with where rugby league's going. It's exciting, the expansion. It's exciting seeing the Pacific nations, dominate on the international game, and the variety of stories and cultures that are involved. So I think there's so much upside in our great game. I don't know. I honestly don't have any plans at the moment, but I'd love to be involved with continuing to grow rugby league. And I don't know what that would look like. I've been down in Melbourne a long time. My partner's from Melbourne, so I'm pretty settled there. But yeah, look, open to anything, mate, to be honest. I'm just very grateful to have gotten everything I've got out of rugby league. It's been the most amazing journey, and if I can contribute in a few years' time, I'd love to be a part of it.
Well, I'm really pleased to hear that. It's a rare combination, somebody that's had that lived experience, but also got the academic qualifications to back that up and advance not just the game as a whole, because it has become a business now. And with you having those qualifications, I think you would be an absolute asset to not a particular team like the Storm, but the game itself. It's important we keep minds like yours within the game. I know obviously preparation is key and you have those qualifications, but it was interesting for me to watch you announce to your Storm teammates. You had some letters in your hand. Could you divulge what that was about?
Yeah, we've Harry Grant. He's been such a great leader at our club, and our head of performance, Lachlan Penfold. They've done a really good job at. I think this club's been built on hard work, training's very hard, wrestle's hard, skills are hard, gym's hard, and you become a really physically tough and mentally resilient team. And that's, I suppose, the DNA of Craig Bellamy's side. And that's why I think over a long period of time, the club's been able to continue to be successful, because we've had legends pass through our team, but there's still consistency in, I suppose, the preparation and how they train. So that's been one thing. But I think in the last 2 years is the emergence of, I suppose, the care. Well, not that there's not much care, but they've placed a big priority on, I suppose, the collective, how tight we are, and the emotional side, and understanding our teammates at a deeper level and their backgrounds. And they've started this trend where last year, each week they'd drop an envelope in your locker, and it'd have a name of a teammate or a staff member, and you'd write a letter about something you might appreciate them or what they do for the club or what they've done for you. So I was sitting there, and I knew I would struggle to. It's impossible to thank everyone. And when you do the maths, there's a top 30, and then you've got our academy, you've got our development players, you've got the coaches, you've got health staff, you've got operations staff. So it ended up being bloody like 70 letters. So it took me ages. So I didn't realise how many people were involved. But it gives you a real appreciation of people and what they do. And it's not just Craig Bellamy. Obviously, he's had a huge impact on my life and my career. But it's a guy who cleans your training gear and puts it in your locker and has a smile, and you have a chat every day over a coffee with him, or it's the physios, it's the selfless, gym coaches. Not everyone. I know it's glamorous working in professional sport. Well, I suppose it's perceived that way, but they're not all on huge contracts, the staff members and the operations staff who book your buses and hotels and make your whole schedule run so smoothly. So I guess I wanted to get it down on a letterhead that how much I appreciate them and what they've done for me. And I thought, after so long of, I suppose, getting the benefits of all their hard work and care for myself, it's the least I could do is to, I suppose, write it down and let them know how much I care about them and how much I suppose I love everyone involved in the club. So that was, I was holding about 70 letters that I handed out after, I guess.
That's absolutely fantastic. I think there's so much people can take from that, just not just telling people how much you care, not just showing, but actually to make the effort. I guess in today's modern world, when it's so easy to just send a text, I think that the writing of a letter just it goes deeper and goes further than just a text saying thank you, XYZ. It gets lost in the chain and it's forgotten about. But a letter, people will hold on to that, and you'll put it in a drawer, and you might pick it up in a month's time, in a year's time, and go, oh yeah, it made me feel good.
Yeah, it was quite cathartic even writing it, to be honest. I thought it gave me good closure, I guess, on my time at the club as well.
Yeah, that's important, that, because you're not going to get the usual ceremonious side of leaving the game. The last game at Amy Park, the last game for Melbourne Storm. It is a little bit different, so it's important that you find that, and obviously through letter writing. But I hope you get the celebration that great player like yourself deserves. I said the same thing to Dale Finucane. Make sure you celebrate what you've achieved, because he retired in not too dissimilar circumstances, where it was a medical aspect, but didn't get that final game. So please make sure that you enjoy and celebrate what a magnificent career you managed to put out there. Like you say, you're probably, like me, we're not blessed with being the biggest or the strongest or the fastest, but you worked incredibly hard to achieve what you did, and I think it should be celebrated.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I've admired you since being a young fella. I don't know if I told you this, but when we were young front rowers, we actually had a homework assignment to study, I suppose, the elite players at our position. And it's a bit funny saying it now, but I think I was about 20 or 21, and you were my project, and watched a lot of footage of how you went about it. And obviously I was aware of your off-field leadership, but just your craft and your nous playing the game. I learned a lot studying your film, my friend. So to be doing a podcast with you, and it's been really exciting.
Well, thank you very much for saying that. I guess I never thought I'd have me and homework and doing well in the same sentence. So all those teachers that ever doubted me, there's one person that believes I can contribute to homework, whatever they say. So Christian, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. I really appreciate you joining at this time. I'm sure you've got this newfound sense of freedom where you don't have to do media interviews. You thought that was all behind you, but thank you for coming on. Just quickly before you go, how are you going to spend the next, I guess, sort of week, month, now that you're free of not the chains that professional sport puts on you, but the restrictions you would have been gearing up for a game in 3 weeks. Now you've got this freedom to almost do whatever you want.
Yeah, I think just getting around. And I've actually flown up to Brisbane. I spent last night with Mum and Dad, who obviously have been on that journey with me. So that was quite a special time. And just seeing a lot of family and friends and hoping to, I suppose, get overseas and just see the world a bit more. Obviously, been able to do that in the off season, but not to a longer extent. And so, yeah, excited to hopefully do that. But yeah, it's obviously a bit emotional and a bit scary, but also equally exciting time.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, just think, when you go overseas, you can walk past that hotel gym and just look inside and go, nah, not today. Don't need to do it. Don't need to do it.
Yeah, I'm not like Dale Panuka, and I have no interest in doing any gym anymore. So that's been good. But continue fighting the good fight, my friend. There's not too many front rowers in the media. It's all corrupt fucking halfback establishment. You can't touch them anymore. They can't play into the line. You can't put kick pressure. It's just devastated me over the years, just seeing them chip away at us, and then they kick off to us and we run into an army of 5 blokes with no threat of passing it. But that's all right. But you can't touch a halfback. So Cooper Cronk and Johns and Fittler, it's great to have one of our own out there fighting a good fight for us. So keep it up, my friend.
Cheers, Matt. I will do. Thanks so much for joining us.